Namaste students, welcome back to the class. Today we are going to discuss the explanation of concept of dominance. Under this, how exactly a gene becomes dominant and how exactly a gene becomes recessive, that we are going to discuss now or in this class. So you know that when there is a character, then that character is controlled by a gene. Correct? That character is controlled by a gene, and this gene responsible for a character has two alternate forms, and these two alternate forms are called as alleles. Right? Those alternate forms are called as alleles. That may be, I am taking like A, and the two alleles may be similar, or two alleles controlling a character may be different. Okay, these two alleles, in these two cases, two genes or two alleles controlling a character is same. That is what we call it as homozygous condition. And in the second case also, both the genes are similar. That means similar genes controlling a character. Okay, this is okay. And if you consider this heterozygous condition or hybrid condition or heterozygous condition, then this, or out of two, one gene we refer it as dominant gene and another gene is considered as recessive gene. Correct? So what is mean by dominant gene? As you know, the dominant gene is the gene that can express itself in the heterozygous condition. Okay, dominant gene that can express itself in this heterozygous condition. So what is a recessive gene? That can't express itself in a heterozygous condition. So now we are going to discuss how this capital A or this gene becomes dominant and express its character. How it becomes dominant and why this gene is dominant and why this gene is not dominant, why it's a recessive and why it can't express its character. Let us discuss. See, when there is a gene controlling a character, that gene may undergo some of the changes. Okay, some of the changes. That gene undergoes some changes are called as modified gene or modified allele. Okay, the gene which controlling a character, when it undergoes some changes, then it is called as a modified allele, and some genes they do not undergo any change, then it is called as unmodified gene or unmodified allele. Okay, unmodified allele or unmodified gene. That means when a gene undergoes some changes, then that gene is called as modified gene, and if it does not show any modification or any changes, then it is called as unmodified gene or unmodified allele. Okay, so now this unmodified allele that express the original phenotype is expressed by this unmodified allele. Correct? ಯಾವ ಫಿನೋಟೈಪ್, ಒರಿಜಿನಲ್ ಫಿನೋಟೈಪ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಆ ಫಿನೋಟೈಪನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾವ ಅಲಿಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ ಜೀನ್? ಅನ್ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಜೀನ್ ಒರಿಜಿನಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಿನೋಟೈಪನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಆದರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಅಲಿಲ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್? ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ? ಸಿ, ದಿ modified allele or modified gene. Okay, here it's the same modified gene or modified allele. It may produce normal phenotype or no phenotype. Okay, let us discuss that by taking an example. Okay, by taking an example we will discuss this modified and unmodified allele and its expression. See, if you take a gene that controls the production of an enzyme. Okay, here we consider a gene that control the production or synthesis of enzyme, and this enzyme is required for the transformation of a substrate. This enzyme is required for the transformation of a substrate. That is, yes, you know how the enzyme works or how the enzyme acts as catalyst, right? So, enzyme that transform the substrate. Okay, and when there is a transformation of the substrate, then the actual phenotype is expressed. Okay, this is one example we are going to discuss. So ಹೇಗೆ modified allele express ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಹೇಗೆ unmodified allele original character ಅನ್ನು express ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ನೋಡುವ. So now taking a gene that produces an enzyme, right? So see, now we consider the unmodified allele, that means this produces the original phenotype, no changes in the gene. So it's unmodified gene that produces the original phenotype. That means now the unmodified gene produces the enzyme, and enzyme results and enzyme carry out the transformation of the substrate. This is unmodified gene. Okay, and if you consider the modified gene, then the gene which has undergone some changes, that is modified gene, it may produce, see, this modified gene, it may produce normal enzyme. Okay, it may produce normal enzyme or less efficient enzyme. Okay, the one possibility is the modified gene may produce normal enzyme like this or less efficient enzyme, or one more possibility is it may produce or it may control the non-functional enzyme. When non-functional enzyme is produced or coded by the modified gene, this is another possibility. And one more possibility is no enzyme is produced. So the modified gene responsible for the production of normal enzyme or less efficient enzyme or non-functional enzyme or no enzyme. ಇದು ಮೂರು ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಅಲಿಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಎಫಿಷಿಯನ್ಸಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡದೆ ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ಮೂರು ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್? ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ condition is seen, then it's same as that of unmodified gene. ಹೌದಾ? ಈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅನ್ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಜೀನ್ನ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ನೇ. ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಜೀನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅನ್ಮಾಡಿಫೈಡ್ ಜೀನಿಗೆ ಏನೂ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್, ಈ ಎರಡು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಇದೆ ಬಟ್ ನೋ ಯೂಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್. ಹೌದಾ? or no enzymes, enzymes produce ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. and these two cases makes the modified gene as recessive. Okay, these two conditions makes this modified gene as recessive gene. Okay, or recessive allele. ಈಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? So what happens if you consider a gene that is capital A and small a? Now the capital A is the unmodified gene that codes for the production of an enzyme, but this small a what we know that this small a is recessive and that can't express in this heterozygous condition, then this small a may produce normal enzyme or less efficient enzyme or non-functional enzyme or no enzyme. So, when this small a is responsible for the production of no enzyme or non-functional enzyme, then this small a is referred to as recessive. Recessive, that means the unmodified allele is the dominant gene and modified gene is the recessive gene. Okay, this is how exactly the gene becomes, or a gene becomes modified or the recessive, or unmodified or the dominant. So, next we are going to discuss about the chromosomal theory of inheritance. Okay, chromosomal theory of inheritance. Mendel, he published his work on the inheritance of different characters. He published his work on inheritance of different characters in 1865. But that or his work remained unrecognized till 1900. Okay, 1900 varege his work was remained unrecognized, because the unrecognition was due to the different reasons. ಯಾಕೆ ಅವರ ವರ್ಕ್ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ದಿ ಮೇನ್ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ದಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸಿ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. 1865 ಮೀನ್ಸ್ no much telephones etc., or the publicity was very difficult. So that was the one reason why his work remained unrecognized, even though he carried out experiments of experiments in pea plants for several years. That work was remained unrecognized. And next is the concept of genes. See, the Mendel said that the genes or the factors are stable and discrete units. Alva, Mendel said that the factors or the genes are discrete units and they are constant, or you can say they are stable. That was not accepted by his contemporaries. The scientists of those time did not accept the concept that the genes are stable and they are the discrete units, because even now we can observe the continuous variation in the nature, right? So, namge naturally you can find the variation. Okay, as Mendel said, the genes are stable and discrete units, there should not be any variation, right? But we observe the variation. So, that time also the scientists they did not accept that concept. And one more reason is, for the first time Mendel used mathematics to explain the biological phenomena. Okay, to explain the biological phenomena he used mathematics. Okay, we discussed about the binomial expression, how we can write the ratios or find out the ratios using binomial expression. That was used by the Mendel, but maths annu biologyalli use ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು it was not proper anta, it was not accepted by the scientist of that time. This is the one more reason why the Mendel's work remained unrecognized. And one more thing is, important reason is, no physical proof for the existence of the factors. See, he said that the factors they control the characters alva. The factors control the characters anta helidru kuda he failed to observe the factors. Physical proof ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್, ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದೋಸ್ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ microscopes, but that time he did not have any advancement in the microscopy and all, so he failed to give the physical proof or physical existence proof of those factors. So, because of all these reasons, till 1900 the Mendel's work remained unrecognized. In 1900, three scientists called De Vries, Correns and von Schermach. Okay, these three scientists rediscovered the Mendel's work on the inheritance of character. So, okay, these three scientists, De Vries, Correns and Schermach, they rediscovered the Mendel's work on the inheritance of characters. Okay, that happened in 1900, and they could able to observe the cell division process also. Okay, they observed the cell division process under the microscope, because that time the advancement in the microscopy allowed them to observe the cell division. Okay, how the cell division takes place anta observe madidru, and they discovered the structure inside the nucleus. Okay, they discovered the structure inside the nucleus and they called them as chromosomes. Okay, because when staining is done, okay, when cells are stained, then that chromosomes, they get stained. Okay, so the meaning of chromosomes is colored bodies. Okay, so chromosomes ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ discover ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. Okay, due to the advancement in the microscopy. And in 1902, the scientists could able to observe the chromosome movement. Okay, chromosome movement ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ observe ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. When the chromosome movement takes place? During the cell division. Okay, you have discussed the cell division in your first year. So, how the chromosomes will move to the different cells, or you can say when how they distributed to the daughter cells. Okay, that could be observed by the scientist during 1902. Okay, so this was the different advancement or the observation of chromosomes happened during the 1902. Later, two scientists called Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri. Okay, these two scientists said that or studied that behavior of the chromosome was parallel to the behavior of genes. Okay, behavior of chromosomes was parallel to the behavior of genes. That means the behavior of gene and the behavior of the chromosome are always like similar. They are parallel. Okay, so how they are parallel, let us discuss later. And then they used Sutton and Boveri, they used chromosome movement to explain the laws of Mendel's. Okay, Sutton and Boveri, they used chromosome movement to explain the different laws of Mendel's, law of segregation and all, right. So, that laws were explained by these scientists based on the chromosome movement. Okay, as I told, the characters or behavior of chromosome and behavior of genes are parallel to each other. So, what are those parallel characters of chromosomes and the genes? Let us know one by one. See, they occur in pairs, right. So, these are the characters or behavior of chromosomes and genes. They are parallel to each other. See, they occur in pairs. Both chromosomes and genes. This is one parallel characters of chromosomes and genes. The chromosomes are also occur in pairs, right. Genes are also occur in pairs, correct. So, the pair of chromosomes are nothing but homologous chromosomes. Correct, homologous chromosomes. So, chromosomes always occur in pairs and they are called as homologous chromosomes. And genes are also present in pairs. That's what we call it as alleles. Correct, when always the genes they occur in pairs. That is how we write AA or AA or a capital A small a, always they are present in pairs. This is one more parallel character of chromosomes and the genes. And both chromosomes and genes, they segregate during gamete formation, right? So always the chromosomes are also in pairs and alleles or genes are also in pairs, and the genes or chromosomes in a pair, they segregate during gamete formation. How that even the homologous chromosomes gamete formation ಆಗುವಾಗ ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಮೆಂಡಲ್ಸ್ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಬೈ ದಿ ಮೆಂಡಲ್ said or told the same, they segregate during the gamete formation. So both chromosomes and genes. Then how they segregate? They segregate in such a way that only one of each pair to a gamete. Right? Only one of each pair to a gamete. See, only one of each pair. See, if there are two chromosomes in a pair, that's what we call it as homologous chromosomes in diploid organisms, correct? During gamete formation, the gametes are always haploid. So only one set of chromosomes ಇದೆ. So out of two homologous chromosomes, only one chromosome goes to one gamete, and this chromosome goes to another gamete, correct? So they segregate during gamete formation in such a way that only one of each pair goes to a gamete. So ಎರಡು ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಮಿಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗ್ಯಾಮಿಟ್ಗಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸೀವ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಲಾ ಹೇಳಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದಿ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಜೀನ್ಸ್. ಹೇಗಿದೆ? ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್, ವೆನ್ a pair of genes are present, it may be capital A also, but I am taking this heterozygous condition to show the neat difference or exact difference. So segregate during the gamete formation, right? And only one of each pair, only one of this pair goes to one gamete. That means you have written in genetic crosses and all during the gamete formation, the capital A to one gamete, small a to the another gamete. This is how they segregate. So segregation of the chromosomes and the segregation of genes, both are same, right? So the characters of chromosomes and genes run parallel anta heltave. And one more is the independent pairs segregate independently. Okay, this is explained under the law of independent assortment. How the Mendel explained this independent assortment of the independent pairs. How? See, there is a pair of genes and here one more pair of genes. Okay, this we studied under the dihybrid cross. Okay, one more type of genetic cross alli discuss madideve. The segregation of capital A and small a is independent of the segregation of capital B and small b, correct? ಇದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಡೈಹೈಬ್ರಿಡ್ ಕ್ರಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಮೆಂಡಲ್ಸ್ ಲಾ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಅಸಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ಸ್, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಜೀನ್ಸ್ ಥರನೇ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಇದು ಕೂಡ. ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಎ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್ ಪ್ಯಾರ್. ಸಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ಯಾರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ರೋಮೋಸೋಮ್, one pair of homologous chromosomes, another pair of homologous chromosomes, correct? So same like genes, this pair of chromosomes segregate independently of this pair. Okay, so the character of gene and chromosomes are parallel. Sutton and Boveri, they finally argued that the segregation of pair of chromosomes lead to the segregation of pair of factors. So what they say? The segregation of pair of chromosomes results in the segregation of pair of factors. So how it happens? See, segregation of pair of chromosomes, the pair of homologous chromosomes gets segregated during the cell division. Especially when you consider the gamete formation, That means when you consider the anaphase 1 of meiosis 1 or the anaphase 2 of meiosis 2. This you have studied in your first year. What are the different stages of meiosis, correct? So, anaphase 1 of the meiosis 1 and anaphase 2 of the meiosis 2 shows the segregation of chromosomes, correct? Segregation of chromosomes, and they said that segregation of pair of chromosomes lead to the segregation of pair of factors. So, how it happens? See, there are two chromosomes in a pair and here one factor or the gene is present, here one more gene is present. These two are the pair of alleles now, that means pair of factors, right? So, when these two chromosomes segregate, see, this chromosome to one gamete and this chromosome to another gamete, then this pair of factors also gets segregated anta helidi yaru Sutton and Boveri, and finally the Boveri finally the Sutton he clubbed the information of chromosomal segregation and Mendel's principle. Okay, he clubbed or ಜೊತೆಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವುದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ, the segregation of chromosome and the Mendel's principle, and he proposed a theory called as chromosomal theory of inheritance. Okay, chromosomal theory of inheritance. This is how this chromosomal theory of inheritance was proposed by the Sutton. Okay. Then what this the chromosomal theory of inheritance says? The first thing is chromosomes are the carriers of genes. Okay, the chromosomal theory of inheritance says that chromosomes are the carriers of genes. Okay, as we know the genes are present on the chromosomes, and chromosomes segregate and assort independently during the transmission of one generation to the another. This is how during the meiosis or gamete formation the chromosomes they segregate or they separate each other independently during the transmission of during the transmission from one generation to the another. This is about the chromosomal theory of inheritance. Experimental proof for the chromosomal theory of inheritance was given by a scientist called Thomas Hunt Morgan. Okay, Thomas Hunt Morgan, he gave the experimental proof of this chromosomal theory of inheritance. Okay, and Morgan he worked with tiny fruit flies. Okay, he used tiny fruit flies for his experiment. So, fruit flies are nothing but it's also called as Drosophila melanogaster. Okay, Drosophila melanogaster is the biological name of those tiny fruit flies. So, you might have seen these fruit flies, of course, because whenever you keep some of the fruits like guava or any banana in an open place, you may find some of the flies wandering around and just they are visiting those cut fruits, right? So, those are the fruit flies, or Drosophila melanogaster was used by the Morgan to give the experimental proof for chromosomal theory of inheritance. So, why he selected the Drosophila or fruit flies for his experiment? Okay, you know Mendel selected pea plants for his experiments and he worked on pea plants for continuous 7 years, right? There were some reasons why the Mendel selected the pea plants, right? Same like that, Morgan worked with the tiny fruit flies. Why he selected Drosophila melanogaster? So, these are the reasons for the selection of Drosophila by the Morgan for his experiment. So the first reason is the Drosophila or the fruit flies can be easily grown. Okay, that could be easily grown in the laboratory. So how they are grown? Using simple synthetic medium. Okay, using simple synthetic medium. So there should be some medium to grow the organisms like fruit flies, right? So simple synthetic medium using some water or suji or jaggery or some agar. Okay, there are some unique constituents or components of those medium to grow those fruit flies, but that medium is very simple. We can easily prepare that medium and we can grow those fruit flies inside the laboratory. So this is the first reason why the Morgan selected fruit flies for his experiment. And one more thing is 2n number of the fruit fly is just 8. So total number of chromosomes present in this diploid fruit fly is just 8 chromosomes. Okay, and the life cycle is very short. Okay, life cycle of the fruit fly is just 2 weeks. That means within 2 weeks it completes its life cycle. So whenever the life cycle of the organism is short, then it's very easy to study the variation or the hereditary characters in many generation alva. So ಸಣ್ಣ life cycle ಇದ್ದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ತುಂಬ generation ಅನ್ನು study ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. And single mating that results in the production of large progeny flies. Okay, single mating, ಒಂದು mating ಆದರೆ there will be many eggs will be produced and that results in the production of large number of progeny flies. ಅಂದರೆ next generation flies large number ಅಲ್ಲಿ produce ಆಗ್ತದೆ. That resulted by the single mating. This is one more reason. And next is the sexes are clearly distinguished in Drosophila. That means males and female flies can be easily differentiated under microscope, or just by looking at the flies we can differentiate the male and female flies. Like the male flies are always smaller than the female flies. Okay, so females ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ large ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ, males ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. This is how the sexes are clearly distinguished in Drosophila or fruit flies. And another reason is many hereditary variations are seen in Drosophila. ಓಕೆ, ತುಂಬ ಹೆರಿಡಿಟರಿ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಡ್ರೋಸೋಫಿಲಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಜನರೇಷನಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಜನರೇಷನಿಗೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೋಸ್ ಹೆರಿಡಿಟರಿ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಒಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಲೋ ಪವರ್ ಮೈಕ್ರೋಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. Okay, low power microscope itself is enough to observe those hereditary variations. So no much advanced microscopes are needed. So these are the 5 reasons why Thomas Hunt Morgan selected the fruit flies for his experiment, and he experimented on these fruit flies and the hereditary variations in fruit flies, and finally gave the proof for chromosomal theory of inheritance.